To another Facebook Live from Karen from Nurture Parenting. So I hope you've all had a fabulous week, and give me the love hearts, give me the thumbs up if you're here and listening to me. So are you finding that 2:30 is a better time to start? I hope you do. So I just had to go move my car because a naughty boy had parked in my car parking space. The trials and tribulations of living in strata, so hence the slightly 5-10 minutes late. So, right, this week, what has Karen been up to this week? Well, we did a competition last week to win 5 baby massage videos that I star in, and this little baby called Belle, and they are a really, really great prize because you can actually watch me on your TV or on your phone or your laptop, whatever, and you can massage your baby together with me in your front room or wherever you want to be. So the winners are Sophie Zednowski, and I hope I've said that right, Sophie, apologise if I haven't. Zena Edwards, lucky winner. Other lucky winner, Natasha Osmond Dreyer, yay. Another lucky winner, Kobe Shetty, yay Kobe. And Phoebe Charlotte Bailey, yay. So we have 5 lucky winners there. So Sophie, Zena, Natasha, Kobe and Phoebe, well done. And they are winging their way to you this afternoon. So after I've finished here today, they'll be coming to you in your email. So look in your inbox. So very, very exciting. So obviously I have a little competition today. And I'll give you a little clue as to what it is. And I'm going to announce it at the end of this Facebook Live, just to mix things up a little bit. But it is something that I think has changed lives for many, many families. It is a little piece of gold, particularly if you have a toddler. And if you haven't, then I have something for a baby as well. So at the end of this video, what you're going to have to do is like the video and like Nurture Parenting on Facebook, and you'll be entered into the draw, and then the lucky winner will be notified by myself and on Nurture Parenting's Facebook page. We have the T's and C's up there, the terms and conditions, so have a little peek through them, but you have to like both things. Now, today I've got masses of questions, like masses. The deluge, and a lot of first-time posters, which is really, really exciting. So I think a lot of people, that's the prize. No, it's not the aluminium foil, Laura, but it would be very exciting to win some foil, wouldn't it? No, it's slightly more exciting than that. I think Matilda would love this prize. I think Beatrix would love this prize. I think every baby, every toddler would love this prize. So I'm going to get into the questions very, very quickly because I need to get all these answered because some really, really big questions this week. Now this week, what did I do this week? This morning I've been into a daycare. So often when I'm working with families, they tell me that they've got a sleep problem with daycare because their child has not transitioned well to daycare. It's often the boys. So today I've been to see little William down in Alexandria in his daycare, which is just around the corner from me. And I went to look at what was happening with his sleep. I spoke to the director and the childcare lovely ladies. Now this daycare blew me away in a very good way, and most of you know that, you know, daycares, I often have a little moan about the room is not dark enough, it's not, you know, conducive for sleep, etc, etc. This daycare is incredible, and I have a feeling that this daycare is going to get fully booked. I think there'll be a waiting list in this daycare because it was so seriously impressive. It is called Kiddies. It is down in Alexandria on 61 O'Reardon Street. It's called Kiddie Academy. The centre director is Charity, and she does amazing. So she'd heard about me, and the mum had told me, Kirsty had told Charity that Karen likes a really dark room and a cool room and no noise and no patting. So poor Charity, poor centre people, they were a little bit, shall I say, slightly anxious about me going down there. I can totally understand. But I went into the room where William was, and it was so dark. It was seriously, seriously impressive, and it was cool. William looked so comfortable in his cot. and there was no babies crying. None. No babies crying. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. So I've been to many daycares, and many children don't sleep. And I can see why. When those rooms are so light, when it is not cool enough, when there's lots of noise around, and daycares tell you how happy those children are. And you know, the babies and children at Kiddie Academy are seriously well looked after. I would definitely send my child there. I would recommend this place to anybody. I often get little feelings about places, so I'm very intuitive, and I know when something feels good. This place made me feel really happy. The daycare workers, beautiful ladies. Charity, oh my goodness, just such a lovely person. So I'm actually going to be going back there and doing some education with the daycare workers, with the parents. I'm actually going to be doing a session with parents as well. So I need a Kiddie Academy in Carlton. Yes, Michelle, I agree, love. It was seriously fabulous, seriously. I have only got good things to say about Kiddie Academy. Like I said, 61 to 67 of Regent Street in Alexandria. There is parking there. It is right, ironically, it is right behind the Mini and BMW garage. I had no idea that it was there. So I drive a Mini Cooper, as most of you know. A nice little red one with Unijack on the top. It's really seriously quite cute. And it is right by the back of the Mini garage. It is a perfect location. It is easy to park. It is a lovely centre, very secure, lovely staff, and the kids and the babies, they sleep in that daycare. So I can vouch for this. So we talked a little about things like patting, and patting of mattresses and patting of children. So I said that we started off a little hashtag no pat movement at Nurture Parenting, and we are on a mission to stop the pat in Australia. So the patting of children and babies for sleep, it has to stop, and it has to stop in daycare. And one of the daycare workers, she was sharing with me that she'd been to Tresillian or Caratani, I can't remember which place it was, for her child, and they had taught her to pat, and her children were not sleeping well. They're slightly older toddlers, and they're actually in her bed now. So I said to her that I would fix her sleep for her kids. So when I come and do the education session, I'll be going to help that daycare worker with her kids' sleep as well. And I'm going to save a lot of money as a result and give her sleep back, because it just breaks my heart that parents are not getting sleep, but it breaks my heart even more that kids are not sleeping and babies are not sleeping. And we've got a good chance of sorting these kids out at this age, and I think we can get them into their own beds, and that's what should be happening. So that's daycare today. That's what Karen did. So seriously impressed. Kiddie Academy. It's on 6167 Duty Street, Alexandria. This is free advertising. They haven't paid me. I do not give recommendations unless I seriously believe in something. Most of you know that I've got very high standards, and I don't accept anything but the best. This is amazing. So at the weekend, what did Karen do? Karen went down to a place in the south of New South Wales to go and help a mum with a 4.5-year-old. This 4.5-year-old had been in the bed with her mummy permanently, and she did have an older sibling as well, but that one never wanted to go into mummy's bed really. And this little girl was booby feeding 5 times at night time. So it was a really big deal to get this girl out of the bed and stop this booby feeding, because at 4.5 you have to make that decision for them, because they are not going to make it for themselves. I know that many attachment parents will say, but they'll decide, they'll change their minds. I love this thought that is going to happen, but seriously, I've never met a child that said willingly, I will get out of your bed, mummy. I don't need to be here, mummy. They're just not going to do that. So we need to help them in a really positive way that's really kind as well, and that's what I went down to do this weekend. And we talked about needs and wants, and that's really important about, and a 4.5-year-old, you can explain to them, do you need the boob? Do you need to feed from mummy at night, or do you just want to feed? And we talked about, say if you had 10 pairs of shoes, did you need another pair of shoes really when you have 10 pairs? And we talked about mummy wanting a pink car, and the white car that she had was perfectly acceptable. So, why did she need a pink car? But she wanted it. Did she need it? No, she didn't need it. And this little girl really got it. And I heard her having this really profound conversation with her mummy one of these mornings. And she said to Mummy, do you know, Mummy, I want the boob, but I don't really need it. I don't really need the boob, I don't, Mummy. But it's funny, wanting and needing, she said. It's something that I really want, but she says, I think I can do this. And her sister turned round to her the next morning after the first night and said to her little sister, and I won't name her, she said, I am seriously proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And this little girl turned around and said, do you know what, big sister? I am seriously proud of myself. She didn't think she was going to be able to do it. Huge stuff, isn't it? And so my job is full of really profound moments, really amazing, heartwarming moments, as well as really heart-rending moments at times as well. I mean, she was very angry, this little girl, when we were doing this on night one. My concern for her as well is that she could be replacing emotions and self-regulating with food and the boob. Because I actually caught her sat by, she really escaped out of the room on me, and I caught her sat in the kitchen, sat on the floor, in front of the fridge with the door wide open, and she said to me, I'm hungry, I'm really hungry. So I think all these mixed messages of feeding boob and, this feeding this emotional hunger. So I had to talk to Mummy. Thank you, Laura. I know, it was really amazing. And I had to talk to the mummy about we need to be careful with this little girl with her food, with her appetite, that we don't replace emotions with food. And the irony is her dad is a bit of a feeder. He's a chef and he loves to feed the family. And there's a real big danger that what was with the boob will end up in food. So Mum is amazing. Mum is absolutely incredible, and she's totally onto this, and she will not allow this to happen. But that's a really heavy conversation to have, isn't it, really? But we need to be really careful of this little girl for the future and her eating habits, because we don't want her to end up with an eating disorder. And it's often on my little trips back from places, or I'm in the shower or whatever, I get my real profound thoughts. And I was driving back in my car and it just came to me, and I thought, wow, this is about emotion and eating. It is not real hunger. A child at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night is not hungry, and she'd eaten a tea, and I'd seen her eat a tea. So that's just something to really think about what we're doing when we're breastfeeding long term, and we're putting our children in the bed long term, that we are masking their emotions, we are feeding those emotions with milk, and that we are not allowing them to have emotions that are normal, and that this sort of thing needs to be made aware, and we need to really think about what we're doing when we keep on doing 10 breastfeeds at night time when they're 2 years old, when we're doing 5 breastfeeds when they're 4.5 years old. Anyway, that's all I've got to say on that matter, but it was a very, very amazing weekend. I had the best time. I played with Monster High dolls with these 2 little girls. I haven't played with dolls for a very long time, and I really indulged my inner child, and it was really seriously fabulous. And I'm so lucky to do what I do and work with families that I work with. So yay for this little girl and her family, and seriously amazing. So I'm going to get on to the first question. So last week I had quite a few people who I didn't get around to answering their questions because I had so many. So this is Sonia Williams, and I think Sonia is a first time poster. So hi Sonia, I hope your week has been good. So she says, hi Karen, how do I transition from pureed foods to more solid foods? My daughter is 8 months old and is ready to move from pureed foods, but I'm scared about choking. And I think every parent is really scared about choking. Now babies have a gag reflex till about 9 months of age, and it's protective, so it's to stop them from choking. I want you to remember that a gag reflex is noisy and a choke is silent. And that's how you know what is going on. So the gag reflex, it is further forward in their mouth than what it is with an adult, and it's there to prevent them from choking. So we need to look at how we manage that, because if we don't move kids onto more solid food, and Sonia's totally right, then it will affect speech development. So you need to be able to move food from the front of the mouth to the back of the mouth in order to speak. You also need to be able to pick food up, and then that'll help you find motor skills. So food is so much more than just nutrition. Food is about communication, it's about relationship building. So it's full of lots of really important skills. So what I would do, Sonia, is I would actually sit with your child, with your little 8-month-old, and I would do finger foods with her as well as the spoon. Now, if you keep on doing the spoon, then, and you don't give finger foods, you're going to get an issue with your child will be growling at you. And you heard that correctly? It's growling. They're going to go, because they get very seriously angry, seriously pissed at you. And angry children, angry babies are really quite interesting. They can bite you as well as growl at you. So children, babies tell you in no uncertain terms how they feel about you feeding them when they want to feed themselves. And when you allow a child to feed themselves and pick food up and you eat with them, you don't necessarily need to eat a full meal, but you need to pick finger foods up. They'll actually eat up to 25% more food, and that's going to help with sleep. So it's going to help with so much things. So it's going to help with speech development, it's going to help with fine motor skills, it's going to help with hand-eye coordination, it's going to help with sleep and relationship building. That's at least 5 I can think of. So how we do this attunement thing with feeding, eating, so crucial. So I go to many houses, babies are sat in the high chair in the middle of the room. They need to be sat at the table with you, and we need to be looking at soft foods to start with. So I've got masses of videos on YouTube of babies around 6 to 8 months of age eating proper adult type of food. So you can actually move on to things like, even without teeth, with things like chicken drumsticks or lamb cutlets, because again you've got a handle. So at 8 months of age, you've not got quite your pincer there yet, but you've got a grasp reflex at 8 months of age. So you can give chicken drumsticks, lamb cutlets, just cook them medium rare so they're very pink. Don't overcook lamb cutlets. I would also be giving things like oven roasted pumpkin that you've oven roasted in olive oil, and have it about 1 to 2 inch cube size. If you oven roast it, it tastes so much nicer. Australians would never eat boiled pumpkin ever again once they'd tried to have it oven roasted. So all root vegetables can be oven roasted in olive oil. So just whack a heap in the oven, and then they'll last there for 2 or 3 days in your fridge afterwards. And you've got you can put zucchini in there. Just chop it in half, and again oven roast with olive oil. You could put eggplant in there. You could also have things like parsnip. You can have sweet potato. Beetroot if you're feeling brave and you're good at getting stains out of things. But all those root vegetables, they're so amazing for sleep, and they're so amazing for taste, and they're a great first finger food. So often my first finger food would be oven roasted pumpkin. It would be things like banana, and I'd give either a cut in half or a whole banana. And have it quite ripe, not too ripe but not green, otherwise it'll give bellyache. I'll be looking at things like cruskits at 8 months. Cruskits are a great food. Australian, you can't choke on them, and you can spread things like avocado on them, you can spread hummus on them, you can spread Philadelphia cream cheese on them. I'd be looking at things like frittata, because that's a really soft food. I would be looking at things like omelettes as well. I would be looking at what else is a great first food? Tomato cut into slices. I'd be looking at cucumber sticks. I would also look at, for the first food, no, I think that'll do for a first food. And then I've been moving on to other things, and there is information on the blog on finger foods. So the English look at baby-led weaning, we look at finger foods. Baby-led weaning is basically starting off on food that is finger foods. But most babies don't have the skill till they get to about 8, 9 months of age to be able to actually pick the food up and actually eat it. So when you first start on finger foods, it's going to look like carnage. There will be stuff all over the floor. It'll be seriously messy. If you have a dog or a cat, yay for the dog, it'll end up with a fat dog or a fat cat. But what they do is, it's about object permanence as well. They get the food and they chuck it down on the floor, they have a little look, and they go, so it belongs up there and down there. So that's all about object permanence. We think it's about mess. It's not. But when babies are throwing food, sometimes it can be about, I've had enough, so just watch out for those signs. But when we do the finger foods with the spoon, it's a win-win. So definitely put all the colours, textures out there, and it's a good idea to give a wide variety, but that's what I'll be doing, Sonia. Now, if you think your child is doing a choke, and the sort of things that children choke on are, number one is the baby chino with marshmallows. So marshmallows are a big choke hazard. So the baby chino, no way, Jose, till at least maybe 2-3 years of age. So I would not be doing the baby chino, and definitely not with the marshmallows. Popcorn is a big one. Anything that's smooth and round. So it is like olives, cherry tomatoes, cherries. I'd cut them into quarters even. Snakes and lollies. So in Australia we have these things called snakes, which are lollies, which are round and smooth. So anything round and smooth can get stuck, so avoid things like that. Other things that you can choke on are things like, obviously, steak that's a bit tough, that sort of thing. Other things that are choke hazard, things like peanuts, raisins, etc. Any sort of nuts are a choke hazard. So I'll be looking out for things like that. So just really be really careful with all those things. But if you follow what I've said and you start on those smooth things first, Sonia, you'll be all good. So excellent. So I hope you like that, Sonia, and I hope that's helped you. Now, I've got a question here from Dominique with her little boy, Vance. Now, I helped her with a phone consult, and his sleep is doing really well now. He puts himself to sleep in the cot without my help. He lets out a cry and put him in the cot, but walk out the door and he rolls over and goes to sleep in minutes. And amazing, what a turnaround, Dominique. So great work, well done. Another solids question. So today we're having a bit of a theme of the solids. So I'm having problems with introducing solids. However, he was going okay, not loving it, but accepting little amounts. But then last Saturday early morning, did a massive vomit in bed. Oh, no. Then all week he's been vomiting on and off during the night and doing decent sized vomits during the day. If I'm holding him on my hip, they clear both of us and splat on the floor. I had been putting it down to teething and excess saliva, as he's been a little grumpy on and off. Then today, both times I've tried to feed him, it is like his gag reflex has kicked in and he's done huge vomits. The spoon only hits his lips and he has just gagged and spewed. It was almost an association with the spoon. Could he still have a strong gag reflex? Yes, he could, Dominique. So some babies do have very strong gag reflexes till 8-9 months of age, so quite possibly, and sometimes even after that. But I think you're on the money with the teeth. When children are teething, when babies are teething, they produce more acid in their stomach, which makes them more chucky. So I have a feeling that I think it is the teeth. And is the saliva in the food setting it off? After he vomits, he usually just smiles, and his temperature is always fine. That says to me that he's well, that there's nothing really wrong with him, but I'll be looking at, again, doing the finger foods. I'll be looking at allowing him to have some control. I'll be giving him the spoon, but I think it is the teething, and just he's got a sensitive gag reflex with the teething. Do I need to give him a break from the solids? He turns 6 months on April the 7th. I would not give a break from the solids really, but I'll be looking at giving really smooth textures. So when babies have sometimes even one little lump can set kids off. So at 6 months of age, I'll be doing the texture of custard or yogurt. So I'll be looking at adding extra liquid in there to make it really smooth. It shouldn't run off the spoon, but it shouldn't be like concrete. So you might just need to introduce some more liquid into there, Dominique, I am thinking. I'm giving him one breastfeed at night between midnight and 3 AM, and he usually vomits sometime between his feed, and then he wakes between 6 and 7. And I'm wondering if as well that we need to get rid of that feed between midnight and 6 AM. Because then it'll give his tummy a little rest, which would be a really good thing to do. He'd never had reflux as a younger baby, but has always been a bit spewy. I haven't tried one of those mesh feeding bags. They can be a solution, absolutely. I'm not a particular fan of the mesh feeding bags, as most people know. Karen tends to pull a bit of a face when she sees them or talks about them. But there's no perfect way to do anything, so I think if it works for little Vance, I think it's absolutely fine, Dominique. But I'll be doing the finger foods thing for definite, and sat eating with him as well. I'll be doing things like oven roasted pumpkin I'd start off on. And I'd be looking at Cruskits as well with avocado there, but I'd be letting him do stuff himself. With the Crusket, it's good because they're actually quite big, and so it helps with their grasp reflex. But I'll be looking at trying to do finger foods rather than doing too much spoon feeding. It'll take 2 weeks before that food actually goes into his mouth and actually gets eaten. Hi, Dominique! So hopefully you like my question there, Dominique. Hope that's helped you. Yeah, all good? Has the spewing stopped, Dominique, or we're still spewing? Just waiting for Dominique to reply to me. I'm sure she's messaging furiously away there as I'm talking. Got a love heart, so it must be all okay, I presume, Dominique. Excellent, like it. But finger foods, there they go, love. That's what you need to be doing. And within 2 weeks, he'll be eating food himself. So food gets felt, it gets played with, it gets mushed up, it gets smelled, it gets licked. Before it actually goes into the mouth and actually gets eaten. So don't worry about the carnage on the floor. All okay. Okay? And that's the way I'll be going. So, all cool. Great, Dominique. Hope you like that one. So next I'm on to Linda and Matthew, and I've also got Sonia Barker. And again, it is a solids question. We have some sleep questions in a moment, so don't worry for those of you who want to know about sleep. I've got toddler questions, and I've got a baby question coming up as well with sleep. So, Linda and Sonia say, how would you suggest that we first introduce peanut butter to a little one? So, I'll be looking at giving peanut butter certainly under 1 year of age, and if you can give it under 6 months, all good, because then it helps prepare the immune system. Before 6 months, you can actually decrease peanut allergy by 80% in families where there's big risk factors like atopic disease, like asthma, eczema, hay fever, and food allergy and intolerance. So if you've got big family history of allergy, I'll be doing it before 6 months. You can decrease that allergy about 80%, and that's based on the ASCIA guidelines, ASCIA. And I would be looking at mixing it in with something that is a puree, that's a savoury, because it needs to be ingested. It's not enough to put the peanut butter on the cheek or the lip, it has to actually be eaten. And sometimes it is the second occasion when you give a food that you can get a reaction, but peanut allergies are rare. And if we gave peanuts at the right age and we gave it before 6 months, or certainly under 12 months, we could reduce those rates of peanut allergy massively. So that's the way I would be going, Linda and Sonia. It's a great question. Got some really great questions this week. You've all sent some really good things in. It's got me just using my brain. So, and as all of you know, I'm sure that I'm also a midwife, a child and family health nurse. So you can, yeah, Jane, it's the same with egg. You can decrease egg allergy by 80% if you give egg before 6 months of age. So that's something that we should be letting people know about. We should not be delaying solids. The only thing you can't give is raw egg or honey till 1. So we should be giving all foods, even the ones that are thought to be more allergenic. And if we can give them before 6 months, we've got a better chance of decreasing allergy. Girls, baby girls, have got double the risk of celiac, gluten problems. Boys have got double the risk of nut allergy. So there's boys for definite, but all kids should be having peanut butter, smooth peanut butter, and doing it under 6 months if you can do, but certainly under 1 year old. But the at-risk families under 6 months. So next time on to Joanne Ursino, and she's got an 8.5-month-old little boy. She says, hi Karen, my son is 8.5 months old, and he sleeps through the night. In the last week, he's been waking up 4 to 5 times a night screaming. I can usually pat his bottom and he'll fall back asleep. However, sometimes I just can't settle him and I need to hold him for an hour or so before he'll fall back asleep. Is there a reason why he's waking up screaming, and what can I do? Thank you in advance. So Joanne, I'm glad you've contacted me. Last week we had a big discussion about patting, and we are setting up a new hashtag at Nurture Parenting called hashtag no pat movement, hashtag no pat, hashtag hands off baby. And I am going to start using that hashtag on all my social media because I can't wait to stop the patting in Australia. So everywhere I go, even this morning at the daycare, somebody mentioned patting, that she'd been told to pat. They're patting mattresses. There's all sorts of things going on in Australia with patting. I get toddlers saying, pat me, pat me. So Joanne, we need to stop the pat. The pat is actually not helping your little boy. If he's been patted off to sleep at night time, that is probably why he's waking up, because he doesn't know how to put himself back to sleep without the pat. So if we pat children after 4 months of age, it will come undone. I don't pat in any of my sleep training methods, so I am definitely a no pat girl. I do not like the pat. So Joanne, no patting. So you're probably thinking, what do I do instead? Now your boy is 8.5 months of age. You can't really do a check-in method with this little boy at this age because he would go into meltdown. Boys do not cope with sleep training, and they certainly don't cope with check-in methods very well at all. So what you need to do instead is do this thing where you go and take a chair into the room. It's called parental presence, and you're actually going to sit by his cot. Now night one's going to be hard. You need to sit by the cot on a chair that doesn't belong in the room, put your hand on the mattress, and you do not pat your child on the mattress. Your hands on the mattress, and you pretend to be asleep, and your head is against the cot and your eyes are closed. You can even put your little head on a pillow or a cushion, and you're going to play dead. Okay, you're not going to talk to him, you're not going to shush him. There's no interaction. It'll feel really weird. On night one you can do cuddles. I do cuddles, they're brief cuddles, and they might be no more than 30 seconds, and the longer you cuddle him for, the worse it is. I don't want you to hold him to sleep, love, because when you hold him to sleep, again, it's a sleep association, and you're not allowing him to have emotions. We need to allow kids to vent when we're changing things. It's actually really, really healthy. And you're going to pale when I say this, but he might cry. He might be upset for 1 to 2 hours when you first do this. By second night, he will be, protesting very mildly. It might only be 5 or 10 minutes, and he might not even cry at all. By night 2, this often becomes a no-cry sleep solution. But night 1, there is going to, hi Puppy, how you doing? Yes, Jane, it is hard, but it's so worth it. It is about giving yourself to them to calm them down, but you're not creating any big habits because you're not actually doing anything, okay? Yes, Laura says it's really hard, but it is so great when it's done, and it is. So all these mummies know me out here, Joanne, and it is my go-to method. It is one that I tend to use most of the time. I very rarely do a method where I actually leave the room, but again, it depends on the baby, okay? But I want you to sit there, and I want you just to model sleep. So when we model behaviour, it shows the child what to do. But we need to allow that child to work through their emotions, and they'll be cross because they'll be going, why are you not patting me? Why are you not holding me? Why are you not doing what you usually do? So when we do change, kids don't like change at all, okay? Now, getting the first bit of the night right is the most important bit. Getting him down at the right time, looking at your bedtime routine, looking at a bedtime book that's got a sleep theme. When you go in there, make sure your room's dark and it's cool. Same when they wake in the middle of the night, yes, Bianca, it is. But you wait 3 minutes. I've got a 3-minute magic that I use, okay? And it's 3 minutes of constant crying, and it is about allowing them to just think, what should I be doing? But at the start of the night, you get in the chair straight away, put your hand on the mattress. You do that for a whole week. Second week, you take your hand away, but you sat by the cot. Third week, you move your chair a foot away. It stays there for a whole week for settling and resettling. Week 4, another foot away. You need to do this over 4 to 6 weeks. So there is a thing called the chair shuffle method, of which I am no fan of. It has come from the States from a lady called Kim West. I often have to go in and mop up the messes of the sleep consultants who've done the chair shuffle method. She's done over 10 nights. It is way too quick. It is way too erratic. And in my experience, in 17 years, it doesn't work. It doesn't work with the children that I see. Yes, Sophie, 3-minute rule, the 3-minute magic. We love the 3-minute magic. So this chair shuffle method does not work. It is not evidence-based, or not that I've come across. If you do it less than 4 weeks, it'll come undone. So you need to do it between 4 and 6 weeks. It depends how big your room is. Now, the last week, you should be able to put your child down and say night-night, and they should go to sleep with no fussing. Now, if you find your child doesn't cope with you leaving the room, then you need to be sat on the chair in the doorway. And you might be doing that till the age of 3. But to me, if your child is going to sleep and there's no distress and they're sleeping through the night and they feel secure and loved, I think to me that is the most important thing. And every parent I've met, I've only ever had one parent who moaned about having to sit in the room with her child. I was shocked. Slightly outraged. But I was shocked. I don't meet those parents. I meet the parents who are so kind, and I'd rather work with those parents. I love kind people, and I call my second name is Kind. So kind is so important to children. So we need to give ourselves to them to help them and help them manage their emotions. A lot of my clients are psychologists. All the psychologists love this method. So I probably know about 60 clients as psychologists. All the psychologists come to me. Howard Chilton likes this method. He's a paediatrician from the Kids Hospital. He's given the tick of approval. So how we do this sleep training with children, so important that we get it right, and so important that we don't put them under stress. Now, Joanne or anybody, if you want to do a phone consult with me, it takes me 3/4 of an hour to go through everything that you need to know to get this perfect. But that's basically how you do the method. But it's about listening to the cry. Now, most parents are responding to stuff they shouldn't be responding to. I've got a library of children crying at all different ages. And you would have access to that on a phone consult or a home visit. So I actually show you what's inside my head. The 17 years of Karen with a big filing cabinet of cases. I've helped thousands and thousands of babies with sleep. Just imagine how many I see. It's just huge. And it's taken me 17 years to get to this, been this good. And as most of you know, I got approached by a massive major global publisher to write this sleep book. And this week I did lots of writing. And all this stuff is going to go into this sleep book. But in the meantime, you've got me on phone consults, on here on Facebook Live, and home consults to help you with this. If you have a toddler, I would seriously suggest getting me to help you. A baby under 1 year old, most people can do it with a phone consult or with the information that I'm just giving you now. But if you need to look at things like food is a massive thing, and we need to look at everything, development, diet, environment, the whole lot to be able to fix this sleep properly. But that is what you need to do, Joanne. Boys at 8.5 months old, they'll realise they're separate to you, they flick their switch, something chronic, and they go into stress head mode. 6 out of 7 of the kids I see are boys. There's a great blog which I know Julie will put up on why I see more boys than girls. And I do. Boys do not cope well with that 6 to 8 month wonder week. Boys do not cope well with that 4-month wonder week. It's okay, Joanne, it's a pleasure. And boys do not cope well with the 18-month wonder week either. However, if you're sleep trained, you cope fine with those wonder weeks. Or much better, shall I say. Probably not fine, but much better. Babies and toddlers that are not sleep trained, oh my God, with wonder weeks, it's awful at those stages. But would I refuse to sleep train a boy at that age just because? No, I wouldn't. I would do the sleep training. Because if anything, when you do sleep training, what you're doing is actually reducing stress in the child. So it makes sense to me to sleep train. But like I say, it's how you do it, Joanne. That's the important thing. That we do it in a kind way, but we sit by the cot, we do not interact no matter what happens. But you can do cuddles. I don't lie them down. I do not lie kids down in the cot. I let them come down from standing. If you lie them down, they get angry. And Tizzy Hall says lie them down 40 times. Hello, Stevie. Thank you for setting my stuff up. My other half has been very generous. Every week he sets my stuff up, so I'm a very, very lucky baby whisperer. So thank you, Stevie. So Tizzy Hall says in her book, Save Our Sleep, lie the child down 40 times. I say never, 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 because you create an angry child and it's disrespectful. If that child wants to shout their head off, we need to let them do it and help them to have emotions, but support them. We don't need to keep on lying them down. I would be very angry if I was a child getting lied down 40 times. And also as well, like I say, you create this learned helplessness. I once broke my rule and I laid a child down who'd been standing up for 3 whole hours with his arms over the bars of the cot like a zombie. He refused to lie down and I was so frightened that he was going to bang his head or something. And so I did lie him down. Oh my God. I then caused a massive problem because he jumped straight back up again and roared for a few more hours. So I get some really hard kids. If you have a child who's refusing to lie down in the cot, sometimes if you lie on the floor or sit on the floor on night 1 to bring them down, that can help. But it's not knowing when to do it, how long to leave it before you actually sit on the floor or lie on the floor. I wouldn't do it as a first thing because again, you've moved in. You need to sit in a chair by the cot. You need not to lie on the floor. So this camping out thing again, that doesn't work either. So it's taken me 17 years. Like I say, these methods work. They are proven because I've been doing this for so long. So I hope that's helped you, Joanne, and everybody else out there. So next, I'm on to Molly James and a 22-month-old girl. So it's not just the boys. The girls at this age can be quite tricky. So the girls that I see, they're very strong personalities, and Laura will vouch for this. The boys I meet are very sensitive, and Jane Buckley will vouch for this. Coops, who I'm going to be talking about in a moment, is very sensitive. So girls, oh my God, they give me what for. Girls, hi Molly. Girls, I've been bitten by. I have had my hair pulled. I have had a 9-month-old girl try and pull me. Alice is a firecracker. I'm not surprised, Molly. I had a 9-month-old girl, 9 months old, try to pull me into the cot. And she left fingerprint bruising on my arms. Fingerprint bruising from a 9-month-old. Alba, yes, I know. Brooke, I feel for you. These are all true stories. I once got a heater, a floor heater, you heard me correctly, thrown across the room at me by a 2.5-year-old boy. I caught it. My hand-eye coordination is ninja level. He then threw a standard lamp across the floor at me. I caught it. He then looked at the chest of drawers and I thought, oh no, Felix, do not even think about that. So I have some very interesting situations with sleep training. That little girl the other night, she ran into her mum's bedroom at one point and got on the bed. And she got into a part of the bed, I know, Bianca, she got into a part of the bed that she thought I would not follow her. I would not go after her. Now, those of you that know me will know, yeah, Beatrix took 2 months, yeah, some kids can take a long time. Oh my God, Phoebe, yes, this is all true. The inner workings, the inner secrets of a baby whisperer. So this little girl got on the bed and thought I wouldn't be able to get her. Oh, no, Karen doesn't give in. Those of you who know me know that I'm very, very kind, but I don't give in. I am the most determined, my mum would call me bloody-minded, girl that I know. Steve will vouch for this. I am determined. I never, ever, ever give in with anything. Maybe sometimes I should do, but no, I don't. And so I had to get hold of her by the ankles and drag her down the bed. I know it sounds awful, but oh my goodness, you know, you can't have a 4.5-year-old breastfeeding 5 times at night time and let this carry on. She's got to go to school. You know, she's got to learn to have emotions. It's all that stuff. So, yes, sleep training. It is a very physical job. I don't take on kids older than 5. I don't think I want to. It really made me seriously think at the weekend that I would not take on a child over... no, Laura, don't give in. We would all die. So when these kids meet me, they look and they go, oh, holy moly, the parents have brought her in. Oh, my God, I don't stand a chance. But like I say, I'm kind. I do not do anything in a harsh way. I don't raise my voice. I'm really, really calm. But they know that I actually mean what I'm going to do. And you know, because these parents are so tired. These kids are so tired. You know, and with Brooke, with Alba, of course I could never give in to her. I know how tough your little child is, Brooke. So these kids that know me, these parents that know me, oh my goodness, do I work hard when I go and help these kids. It is, but I love their temperaments. I love their personalities. They're all going to be amazing, these kids, in the future, and I can't wait to see what these kids are going to do. I love the firecrackers, but they're going to give you what for. So night 1 is going to be hell. I don't disguise it. It is hard. I feel exhausted after I do a visit. But yeah, Karen fixes stuff. So I don't take shortcuts with patting. So no pat, hashtag no pat. I do it properly, but I allow them to say how they feel and to vent. And it is so important for helping them with their emotions for life. It is about emotional self-regulation. We need to stop shutting kids up. We need to allow them to be and to do stuff. So I hope that's helped you there, Molly. So my 22-month-old daughter, previously a great sleeper, has started waking around 4 o'clock most mornings, too distraught to go back to sleep, standing up and screaming, "Mummy, cuddle," until we get her. Any advice? We've tried extra layers to keep warm. She's great thought. Yep, a grow clock. Only day 3. My sister loves the grow clock, Molly. It is the best thing I've ever bought her. And a later bedtime, 7 o'clock. She's slowed down her eating, but is still a great eater. And usually goes down to sleep ridiculously easily, pops into bed and wave goodnight and walk away. It's just awful and screaming in the early morning. We're in an apartment, so trying not to make our neighbours hate us. I understand. She's almost dummy obsessed and the most delightful child in the universe. Thank you. So, Molly, what would I do with your little girl? Well, I know she's in a cot because I know you told me that. So, I'll be doing parental presence with her. I'll be waiting for 3 minutes of 3-minute magic, the constant crying. If there is pauses, gaps, silences, and I class a pause certainly between 10 and 20 seconds, but anything 5 seconds above is actually a pause. You can reset the clock. No mummy or daddy likes me resetting the clock, but it's important to time it, because in the middle of the night you want to rush in there like Flynn, because you're worried about the neighbours, you're worried about your child, you're worried about your husband, you're worried about everybody waking up. Do not worry about it, because once your little girl Alice knows that you are worried, okay, Jane calls it 3 nights of hell. Laura says, hold Matilda, that you told Matilda that you called me on the phone and she sat in the bedroom for an hour. Excellent. So these children remember me, so excellent. That can be all it takes to say, I'll get Karen back. And they go, oh, I don't think so. So they learn to shout, these kids, and they learn to shout to get what they want. And you can't blame them. You know, she's 22 months old. She's using everything in her repertoire. But she needs to sleep. So you wait for 3 minutes of constant crying. And it's not enough to create abandonment, no matter what some hardcore attachment parents might say to me. I have been trolled on the 3-minute rule by Pinky McKay's friends. So it's a lovely world out there in baby sleep land. Yeah, I think Pinky sends her friends to troll me now. Doesn't bother me. I think this 3-minute rule is, I'm not sure if you remember Zoe. Ayla? Yes, I do. My incredibly stubborn child who you helped teach to put herself to sleep with it when she was 4 months oldish. Well, now she's 27 months old and still very stubborn. Oh. Yes, these children don't change. So, like I said, I love them dearly because they're temperaments. And when I meet them, it's like, whoa, I've got a mini version of me. So I get them totally, and they get me totally. But they know that an old Karen, who's a Leo, ain't going to give in, I'm afraid. So, like I say. So I would wait 3 minutes, Molly, and then I'd go in, sit by your cot, and I'll be doing parental presence. I think her eating will improve once she's sleeping. You've got to sort the sleep out, sort the food out. Don't give water, because water will cause a problem, particularly if you do it for a week. I've had a child waking up at 3:30 for a bottle of water. I would be thinking about the dummy, and I would not put it back in. Now, you don't have to remove your dummy because she's 22 months of age and it's a very sensitive age. So I would be tempted to put the dummy in the cot. If she throws it out, you return it once. But I want her to be allowed to have emotions. I want her to be allowed to vent and to cry. I don't want you to worry about the neighbours on this night. I want you to tell them what you're doing, and then it'll give you permission to do it. Because when we've told somebody, we're not going to be frightened of anything then. Okay? But if you get stuck, Molly, I'd help you. Okay? I know that how I read babies and crying and toddlers and crying, I read them like most people read books and music. I have these ears that just know what children are saying. I understand children at that level. They know that I understand them. They know I've come to help them. I get a lot of toddlers who actually tell their parents they love me after I've been to help them. And I'm actually taken away 4 bottles of milk, a litre of milk, 5 breastfeeds. I might have, you know, taken away patting, taken away their parents' bed, but that's what they actually say. So this is incredibly respectful. Do not worry about the fact that you are sat there playing dead and ignoring your child. You are actually helping them by ignoring them. You're not helping them by interacting. You're not helping them by patting them. You're not helping them by trying to stop them crying. You're actually helping them by allowing them to feel things. Okay? So I'm giving you permission. You're in the room, so it's not controlled crying. It's not going to fry their brains with cortisol. I think we've all got so frightened of crying by the infant mental health people, by nurses, by midwives, by doctors. But it's about what crying and the fact that we need to help them and be in the room. When I do a cuddle, like I say, it's a brief cuddle. It's like, you know, it's a 30-second cuddle at the most. But when you put them down, they roar at you. I want that to happen. Okay? When you do a cuddle, it gives a message. It says you're loved. You're not abandoned. It reduces their cortisol, their stress hormone, as a cuddle. But when you put them down, it says, I mean to do this. And they can't believe it. And it's outrage. That's what I actually hear. I hear anger from most children, particularly girls. Girls, they go, rah! It's like lion taming, my job at times. The boys are sensitive. And I think doing cuddles on night 1 is particularly helpful if you're changing something really big. I don't do cuddles on night 2 or as the week goes on, because cuddles will work against you, because they'll hold out for cuddles. But I'm a fan. Yes, love children are the noisiest children. That's something that we need to remember. You're totally right, Jane. When children are loved, they're going to shout at you. So in my career, unfortunately, I've worked a lot with child protection cases. So I've got a massive background in working with child protection and families at risk, okay? So I've met babies that have actually shut down through lack of attention, which is really sad. It breaks my heart. I did get a few death threats in the process, but like I say, Karen's not scared of very much. To me, the kids, their health, their mental health is so important. But babies that are loved will shout. And I want you to remember that. So we need to allow them to feel. Okay? So I hope that's helped you there, Molly. We'll give that a go. Yeah, let me know how you do. What will happen is night 1's ordinary, to say the least. Night 2's the same or slightly better. Night 3 or 4, things get worse before they get better. With a toddler, it can take night 5, can get worse before it gets better. It takes a week to 10 days to improve, and by a week, 10 days, you should be in clover. If you do this properly, even within 24, 48 hours, you could get amazing results. So, but just, there are some kids who take a week to 10 days. There are some kids like Laura's little girl, Beatrix and Matilda, who can take 2 months to come good. So a toddler can take 2 months. A baby can take a week to 10 days. So they're the things that you will notice, okay? Jane, is that what's wrong with Matilda? Jeez. Yes, she's just woken up from a huge nap after running around the zoo for hours. Great. All right, so I hope that's helped you all out there. So Jane Buckley, I'm on to Jane now. Hi, Jane. And I hope you're better after Jane's had pneumonia. Jane has been really, really sick. Yes, and they have relapses. Absolutely, Jane, you're totally right. We think sleep is fixed forever. It's not. You've got to work on it and work on it, okay? Sometimes it's the boys. And the boys, they can get really upset at changes with development, changes of daycare, changes of, you know, moving from a cot to a bed, any change. But on holidays, so boys flick their switch like no tomorrow, okay? So boys need very, very sensitive handling, not that girls don't, but boys especially. So Cooper has taken a step back in progress and is now back at the side of the bed, and she's now back at the side of the bed hand holding. A few things have happened. She tried to leave the room, complete fail and issues since then. She's been sick with pneumonia. What the hell have I done, says Jane, and how do I fix it? I feel for you, Jane. Lots of tears, Coops, and anxiety. Me. Thanks, Karen. Should add that he is sleeping through and going through a wonderful my way or the highway stage with tantrums. Like it, Jane? Like it. I can just imagine. Yay. Some boys do not cope with you leaving the room. As I said before, some boys will always need to have you there in the doorway. And unfortunately, Jane, you've got one of those, love. So absolutely, when things go to poo, when things go into a mess and you feel like you're out of control and all is lost, it isn't. Go back to the bed and start again. And do your 1 week by the side with hand in, 1 week hand away, so on. So by week 4 to 6, you're going to do this gradually. And this will come good, Jane. I know it will. So I'm going to wave my wand for you. It's working very, very, very well at the moment, is the wand. And lots of magic sleep dust. I know you've got my little magic crystal. So I know that with that Labradorite, this is going to be fine, love, believe me. That Labradorite has lived in my house for a long time, so I'm sure it has still got plenty of charge left in it. Make sure you recharge it on the full moon, and that you don't let anybody else touch it. Very, very important, Jane, I'd just like to add. It's actually demanding my hand. Yeah, they do. They say chair, sit, mummy, hand. They absolutely love the hand, and they fall asleep on it, they kiss it. Boys, like I say, very, very sensitive. If you've got a boy, read the book by Steve Biddulph, Raising Boys. It is an amazing read. Premature baby boys have got half the chance of survival of a premature baby girl of the same gestation. Half, 50% less chance of survival. When I read that, oh my goodness, it blew my mind. And you're reading the blog. I used to work in special care baby unit and NICU as a midwife and nurse, and whenever we've got a girl baby around, we'd go, oh, it's a girl, she's going to do really well, she's going to be really strong. We'd get a boy round, nothing would be said, which is really sad to think about, I know. But boys, their 2 hemispheres don't connect to their brain until they're several years old. They're just little stress heads and sensitive little things, and we need to make sure that we do nothing harmful to them at all. They do not cope with control crying at all. So when you've got a boy, I would never, ever leave the room. Okay? There are some boys, you know, that you can do, but on the whole, if I'm going to give you advice through Facebook Live, I'd say stay in the room. Unless you've got me there, and I can read that cry, and I can tell you what you need to do. So I hope that's made sense. So Jane, you're going to be okay, but this is just developmental. It's him just flicking his switch. You haven't broken him. You're going to be fine, you know, and I'm going to, just like I say, wave my wand for you. It's going to be okay, Jane. Things will come good. Keep waving your wands, Karen. Always wave your wand. I will. I can't say anything, but since those crystals have been in the house, okay, interesting. Like that very much, okay? Can I show you a new little crystal that I've got to replace the Labradorite that Jane borrowed long term? This is my new Labradorite, and it is a very, very magic stone. It has been out on the full moon, so there's obviously a lot of skill goes into my job, but yeah, the crystals, quite like them. Got a Karen here, first time posting. Hi Karen, so I'll try to get to you very shortly. So on to Bianca now, who first time poster. Hi Bianca, I know I talked to you before. 10-month-old who's having 2 days sleeps, 10 till 11 and 2 till 3:30, and bed at 7. Has always been put to bed completely unassisted for all sleeps. Her last milk feed is at least 20 minutes before bed. Great. There is never any crying at bedtime. However, she still wakes up between 4 and 5 a.m. most nights and screams blue murder unless she's fed. She's been on 3 solid meals and 2 snacks since 4 months old. I've left her to cry it out for up to an hour, 3 nights in a row, but she's not helped. And after that long, I've gone in to feed her. She drinks for 5 minutes and goes straight back to sleep until 6:37. Should I continue to let her cry it out, or should I feed her and hope she grows out of it? Absolutely great question, Bianca, and great scenario. And I think many parents have been in this situation. So I want you to do parental presence with your little girl. I want you to do the method that I talked about before about sitting by the cot. So you wait 3 minutes of constant crying when she wakes up in the middle of the night. So that 3-minute magic. Go in, sit by the cot and put your hand on that mattress and help her get back to sleep again. Do not feed her. Do not give water. Do not replace dummies, all that sort of stuff. And I think within a week you could have an amazing little girl who is sleeping through. When we feed them at night time, it rewards their behaviour and makes them wake up. And if she's been crying for an hour, then you feed her, she'll think next time I've got to cry for an hour, and then they'll cry louder and louder and louder. And the babies that I meet, they just dig their heels in. They go, I am not giving up. And I had a baby once one night who cried for 4 whole hours. I'm still scarred by that one. That was in January. That was Mercy's little boy, Jed. Amazing little child, but determination, amazing. So Bianca, I hope that's helped you. So thank you for the question. Great question. But cry it out. At this sort of age, it is a disaster at 10 months because they realise they're separate to you and they actually feel abandoned. So it would make her feel sad. So not to make you feel guilty. I know there's many sleep books that say do cry it out. Many people say cry it out at this age. I find with the babies that I know and children that I know, it doesn't work at all. So we need to give ourselves to them. And it's actually a really, really lovely method. I think you're going to love it. And I'm not like Tizzy Hall or Gina Ford. I'm not like Crunchy Granola, Bed Sherry, but I'm somewhere in the middle. And, you know, I'm sort of like the voice of reason, really. So I'm very kind, but I do get results, and you'll get results with this, Bianca. So all good, love. Can't wait to hear how you go. Let me know. And Tiffany Leo, if you're pushing a baby in a pram or going for a drive and your baby falls asleep, would you consider this self-settling? Aha, great question. We aren't going for drives, pram walks intentionally to make Bub 12 months fall asleep, just making sure we aren't contributing to bad habits. Now, this is a really, really good question. I had a mummy once who was walking around the streets every day for 5 months for 10 hours with a child in the stroller. That child obviously struggled with self-settling because he got used to motion, and motion is like massive sleep association. I have heard of parents going round the tunnels on the e-tag for all their naps, and their bill for the e-tag, just wait what this is, it was $1,200 per month. 1,200. Can you believe it? Yes, I am cheaper than the e-tag than the tunnels. So another parent was going round the Centennial Park at Randwick because it's on a circuit and there's no traffic lights. Didn't have to stop. So then this motion becomes massive. So it's the balance, Tiff, of how many naps that you're doing out of the house versus naps in the cot. So I would do long sleeps in the cot, and I'd make sure there's more sleeps in the cot that are done outside in the stroller or the car or the beyond. Okay, it's the ratio. That's the important thing. If you find that the balance is shifting, then you get catnapping. And how children go to sleep is how they need to be resettled in 40 minutes time. So great question, Tiff. Love that question. But you'd be amazed at the amount of parents that are driving around with kids in cars, and then they get off the traffic light, they go, no, there's a traffic light. I wonder how many traffic light fines they get from stopping because they're scared of stopping at the lights because their child's going to wake up. I think there could be quite a few out there. But you're going to save the environment. You're going to save your petrol. You're going to save your sanity. So it'll only take a week, maybe even less. to get that balance back if it's got all a bit pear-shaped. And the first day is always really hard, so there you go, Tiff. So I'm just going to see what else I've got that's coming. Okay. Right, so Bianca, I've done Bianca's. Right, I've got Ayla. Not sure if you remember Zoe, my incredibly stubborn child who you helped teach to put to sleep when she was 4 months old. Yes, I do. Well, she's now 27 months old and still very stubborn. We've just moved her to a toddler bed and she gets up multiple times a night and walks into our room to wake us up for a cuddle. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh because she sounds very cute. What can we do? She's also refusing naps but is clearly exhausted. So my sister is not immune, Ayla, to this type of thing happening. And when Freya was 2 and she moved from a cot to a toddler bed, she jumped out 50 times because she was 2 and she could. And my sister, she's lovely as my sister, she's got a beautiful heart. She said to me, so Karen, why is Freya getting out of the bed 50 times? Why? I said, Leslie, because she's 2 and she, hi Ayla, because she's 2 and she can. She said, no, why Karen? Why is Freya doing this? Leslie, she's 2. So 2-year-olds have no impulse control. They just are impulsive by nature. It's hard to do with all their brain, and it, you know, they just do things because they're 2 and they can, and it just feels good. And she obviously loves you so much, Ayla. So we're going to do the same thing. I would put a gate on her room. I would put a gate on your room, just to delay her getting out. If you think she's going to climb, then just put the gate on your room, okay? Because it's going to just delay things, okay? She wants to wake mummy and daddy up. Yeah, because she can. Yeah, that's exactly why. Yeah, because she loves you so much. But we need to obviously stop this from happening. And if she's come as far as your room or she's got out of bed, just wait a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, to see what's going to happen. If you can see on the monitor that she's actually got out of bed, most of the time you'll actually need to go back to resettle her, but just wait a few minutes if you can do. If she's reached your bed, do not allow her to get in. Shoo her back, and because she's 27 months old, I want you to actually tell her to get into bed and pull the covers back on herself. Because if we lift them into bed and we put the covers on them, again we create this learned helplessness. So we need to allow her to get herself back into bed. So we need to tell her what to do. We need to give her an instruction. So we need to say, Zoe, I'd like you to just get back into bed and pull those covers, pull the doona back on yourself. Cover yourself up with the doona, okay? Because then we are helping her to problem solve herself. And we need to do this parental presence with her, Zoe. So when they're in a bed, you can actually take it backwards 2 steps as parental presence as well. You can actually lie on the bed, sit on the bed, sit on a chair, and then move on till you get to the doorway by week 4 or 6. But it is important to do it for at least over 4 to 6 weeks, okay? And because she's a 27-month-old, it could take 1 to 2 months to come good. Do not worry about it. It'll get worse before it gets better. And that is really what I would recommend there, Zoe. So I hope that's helped you. So night 1, it'll be ordinary. She's going to not want to get back into bed, and do not give her a cuddle, all right? Because it feels, I know it'll feel awful. We spend a lot of time lying beside a bed. Right, don't lie beside the bed, because if you lie beside the bed, you've moved in. Next thing, it should be going, blankie mummy, pillow mummy, lie down here mummy. And that's what happens. So the chairs move, you see. So I probably wouldn't lie on the bed with her, because again, that connotation of you've moved in. But do not do anything for more than a week. When you do something for more than a week, you've created a new sleep association. So it's important that you move on with each stage a week. So I would actually sit on the bed for a week, and you can hold her hand. So say when she's quiet and she's in bed, you'll hold her hand. So what we did with that little girl the other night was, when she was misbehaving, we moved the chair to the middle of the room, and we said, until you're in the bed and laid down, mummy's not going to hold your hand. When you lay down, mummy will hold your hand. And that's what we did. And it works. They get angry when you take the chair away to the middle of the room. And then when they comply and do as you've asked, move your chair to right by the cot and give them your hand for the first week. And that's what you keep on doing. The second week, take your hand away, and so on. Okay? So that's how I'd manage that, Ayla. So I hope that's helped you, and let me know how you go. So I think that is it for today. Oh, Karen, I've got Karen here. First time posting. Just do a quick one, yeah. My near 3-year-old son has been going to the toilet since he was 2.5 years old, but he refuses to poo in the toilet. We've tried everything to convince him, including offering instant treats, wearing pull-up pants on the toilet, as per your previous live video. He has no problems going once he has his pull-up pants on in the bathroom. Any advice on how we can get him to sit on the toilet? Okay, that's a really interesting one, Karen. Do you think he's actually ready? Do you think he actually knows that he needs to go? Does he tell you when he knows he needs to go? Okay. And I would be looking here at letting him actually take the lead. I know he's nearly 3, but boys are often not ready to sort out their number 2s a lot later than girls. And if we push him, yes, he does know when he needs to go. Okay. So then I'll be looking at not even doing the pull-ups or anything. I'd put him in pants or with nothing on, and I'd do all the laxative stuff like I suggested. But look at what reward that you're giving him as well. What really floats his boat? What would really make him want to do this? Because if we don't choose the right reward as well, we're not going to get compliance from them. Okay? He wears pants all day long. Even have him without any pants on, Karen. So when you set to do this, have him with nothing on for that week and stay at home for that week. Okay? And look at what reward you're giving. What reward did you give him last time? What did you get? Refuse to give him the pull-up pants, but he will just hold it. If you give him so much laxative, then he is going to absolutely not be able to hold it on. There's not a chance. Okay? So I want you to really dose him up. If you need to use Movicol, you use Movicol. Okay? Now there are some kids who are extremely stubborn. Okay? And it sounds like, yeah, chocolate Kinder bar, his favourite. Okay? There are some kids who are extremely stubborn. So you might need to up the reward from just a Kinder bar. Maybe he gets that often and it's not as much of a reward for him. Okay? So I'd be looking at, yes, doing a star chart, but sometimes star charts can work against you. Okay? What does he really value apart from chocolate? Is there anything that's a non-food reward that he really values? He's afraid that he'll fall into the toilet even though we have an insert for him. Right, so could you use a potty? Toy cars. Right, okay. So I would be looking at a cheap version of the toy car, and I would be looking at giving him one of those the first time he goes. I'm not sure how much toy cars cost, but give a really nice reward after a week. Say if you get 4 days out of 7 of compliance, I'd be accepting that as where the bar is. The next week I'd want 5 days out of 7 of compliance, because by the time you've got a week to 10 days of compliance, you've got a learnt behaviour. So I'm not sure how much toy cars cost. Can you get a toy car for $1? You know, I'll be looking at the cheapest way you can do this possible, but give him what he wants, if you know what I mean. Because if it isn't something that he really values, he's not going to work for this. Kids are way smart. I know I am the same. If somebody dangles something in front of me that I really want to work towards, $3 each. All right. Could you possibly buy a week's worth of cars? Does anybody else think that's reasonable, or do you think that's outrageous? I would do this for a toilet trained child. The op shops usually have cheap toys that should be really cheap. Yes. I think it's perfectly acceptable to do this to get a child trained on the toilet. And I think it would work. Okay, so but it has to be a big enough reward to make the child do it. Not ridiculous, but just big enough. I don't think chocolate's exciting enough, unfortunately, Karen. I wouldn't work for chocolate. But you offer me something, you know, a bit bigger than chocolate, and my partner Steve knows me very well. Oh yeah, I'll work hard for whatever that thing is, if it's something I really want. Okay, so that's what I'll be looking at, Karen. Okay, so let me know how you go, and let me know exactly what happens. I'd be really interested in that. So let's get to the competition. So to win this week's competition prize, you have to like this video and like me on Facebook, Nurture Parenting on Facebook. I'd like to share this video with all your friends, your mothers groups, everybody. I'd like you to give me lots of love hearts as well, because the more love hearts I get, the more people get told about this. And I think it's absolutely amazing that you get me free every week for an hour. So Karen is giving away 4 hours of her time every week for free. Now, how cool is that? Okay, how many people give their time for free? I do, and I love doing it. So I love these Facebook Lives. I think they're absolutely amazing. So I'm going to answer Taran's question. I'm going to give you a ring, Taran, because I've run out of time, I'm afraid. So I'll call you straight after I've done this. So I'm going to be giving away my favourite books, because if you have the right book, bedtime goes amazingly. All right, this is my favourite toddler book for bedtime, My Big Shouting Day. Oh my God, it is. I love Bella in here, and she's so expressive. Everything. She's just such a moaning Minnie. She has a bad day. Whenever I use this book with children that are toddlers, it gets read 6 times at night time. They love it, they love it, they love it. So if you set bedtime right with the right book, oh my goodness, it is a game changer. This book is a game changer, okay? So like this video, like me on Facebook, and you'll get put in the draw to either win that or one of my other favourite books. So if you've got a baby, if you've got a child that's under 12 months of age, then you'll get to win this. So it's either this or this. So amazing prize, I think. So I believe in giving you all my secrets. Things that create good bedtimes are really good bedtime books. Okay. So we'll draw the winner and let you know next week. So thank you for listening, and thank you for sending your questions in. I have seriously loved all your questions. They are absolutely amazing. You blow me away. Each week I go, wow, that's really seriously cool, is that? And I think it's going to help so many other parents out there. So everything that you ask, as well as helping you, is helping other people. So yay. So bye from Karen, and have a fabulous week.